I love Christmas. Now, Christmas is a season of joy, love, and togetherness. But in Nigeria's current economic climate, celebrating the holidays requires a more strategic approach to spending. Now, rising inflation, fluctuating fuel prices, and economic uncertainties have tightened households' budgets, making financial prudence very, very essential. Now, while the festivities call for giving, feasting, and travel, these traditions can strain resources if not carefully managed. This guide we're providing today explores practical ways to celebrate Christmas meaningfully without overspending, from creating realistic budgets and prioritizing essential expenses to embracing creative, low cost traditions. It offers insights into managing finances while preserving the spirit of the season. So, celebrating Christmas doesn't have to lead to post holiday debts. It's about making wise choices that ensure happiness and financial stability into the new year. Yeah, into 2025. Good day, viewers. It is an honor to grace your screen. I am Promise Njoku Adibi. And to discuss our topic for today, which is celebrating Christmas in Nigeria's present economy, managing your finances. I have with me Mrs. Amaka Ogwejiofo. It's good to have you come talk to us, man.
Glad to be here again.
I love the green
Yes.
and the touch of red and white.
We're repping.
Yeah, we're really repping. Thank you, ma. I also have with me Sir Ifeanyi Chukwujeku. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm sure you're going to tell us how to manage our finances.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will do that.
Thank you. Okay, so viewers, we have a whole lot planned out for you in case you've been wondering how you can manage your finances, looking at the economic challenges in Nigeria. Fret not, we have capable hands here who will give you tips, and the right advice on how to manage your finances while celebrating Christmas. Okay, so I just want to start. We know the country is hard. We know it's been very tough for Nigerians lately. How can individuals create an effective Christmas budget, that aligns with their current financial situation? Let me start with you, sir, Ifeanyi.
Yeah, everything about the human being starts with money. Unfortunately, nobody teaches money in any school. It's very sad, but that is the reality of the situation. Nobody has gone to school to be taught how to spend his or her money. So the starting point for everybody is to have a budget. No matter how much you earn, what you earn does not matter. First of all, is to have a budget. Because if you don't have a budget, then it is disaster for you. You know how much you earn, you know how much your financial responsibilities are in a month. When I used to work, I used to tell my staff that January sometimes will have 45 days, sometimes it will have 51 days. Like, for instance, I'm a pensioner. I got my pension 11th. So that means that for me, January is 52 days.
Oh my goodness.
So you have to plan. You have to have a budget, and then you have to plan within your resources. Remembering that for those who have families, in January, you will pay school fees.
True.
In January, you will buy food for your house. With fuel at 1,115 naira a liter, in January, you have to fuel your car up at least to work. So it's important to have a budget. I think it's the starting point, first of all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mommy, you are smiling. It's important to have a budget. So are there ways Christians, we're talking about Christmas now, are there ways you can create this budget? And then I also want to ask, can you outline some financial mistakes people make, especially during festive periods, and how they can be avoided?
When he's talking about a budget, this budget may actually be a physical thing.
Okay.
Or it can be on board. It can be in you. I remember that when I got married initially, I was doing physical budget. But after some time, I became the budget myself. because the thing is inside me.
Yeah.
The figures are in me. The recurrent expenses, I know them.
Yes.
Any extra expense, I know. And the calculations, everything is inside my head. So when we are talking about a budget, it may not necessarily be something on Excel or Microsoft Excel. It could be just an awareness of your pattern of expenditure, of, like he said, your income and outflow. You should be able to have it at the back of your hand.
Oh, goodness.
You know, there is something in the air in December. It's Christmas again. There is something about Christmas season that makes somebody just want to spend, even if you don't have to. And you see advertisers, influencers, and all those people, they know how to work you.
Yes.
Yes.
They know how to work you.
They know.
They know how to make you want to spend money that you don't have. So it is now that all the best items that didn't come out since January 2024 go online. All the best deals are there. All the best shoes and clothes. If you don't have discipline, if you don't have personal discipline, the tendency to get carried away is extremely high. And so it's a matter of self-control, discipline. Don't respond to every advert. Don't say it's calling my name, it's not calling your name. That advert was put out for everybody. It was not put out with your name on it. So don't say this is calling my name. It's an open thing. If you don't respond, somebody else is going to buy. It doesn't have to be you. So that's the way I say it.
Oh, perfect. You want to chip in something?
Yes, I advise people at a time like this. You see, impulsive buying. We should avoid impulsive buying. There's need to, this is not time for extras. This is a time for pure financial management. So anything that will make you buy on impulse, please forget it. Then, it's a time like this you keep hearing buy one, take three free.
Exactly. Or it's on sale.
It's on
Whether it's
sale.
actually on sale or not, you don't know.
You don't know, yeah.
It's on sale. So it's very, very important, And then always have at the back of your mind that January is coming. There are financial responsibilities in January.
With 52 days or possibly 60 days.
Yeah, even 60 is possible too.
Okay, but then we know we have essential needs. We have of course you have to eat during the festive periods. You have to do one or two things. Now, how can families prioritize these spendings? You've said don't buy on impulse, but then how can they how can they go about it? Children must eat rice. Yeah. So and for some it's a must. Their children must wear Christmas clothes, wear shoes. So how can they go about all of this? Let me start with you, sir.
Yes. You see, children must wear new clothes for Christmas.
I don't know actually who brought that mentality.
I don't know, but it's something that it's about.
It has become traditional.
Yes, it's become our culture now. In fact, when I was a child, my father used to sew Christmas clothes for everybody, all the children on the streets. And then Ali Kazore will sew for, when it comes to Salah, he will sew for all the children on the street. So it's become a culture. But we also need to, we're talking about clothes. You don't need a Versace. You don't need, you don't need the big names. The most important thing is that parents should know that they have to take care of their children. Taking care of children doesn't mean that you should go out of your way. You shouldn't break a bank because it's Christmas.
I agree.
It is very, very important. Because people spend so much that they don't even care again. And then in January, you see them, even some who travel for Christmas. Must you travel? Must you? That's a question I keep asking for. Must you travel?
Very big question.
Because I remember those days we used to go for Christmas. You find out that before you wake up at 5 a.m., somebody is at your door waiting because he wants to beg money for transporting himself or herself back
to wherever they came from.
Yes. But I think the economic situation now is teaching everybody a lesson, I believe.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for those who want to learn, because we still have people who haven't learned.
Diehards.
Okay, so let's talk about savings. We have like you rightly said, a whole lot of people spend a lot of money during festive periods, during Christmas, spend a lot. Do you think saving throughout the year, can play, can give a soft landing to these spendings during Christmas?
Oh, yes, definitely. Savings is very important. If you're the kind of person who wants to have a blast at Christmas, that money is going to come from somewhere. It's not going to drop from the sky. It may not necessarily come from your salary, considering your day-to-day expenses. It has to be a nest egg. It has to be something that you probably carefully put aside. And I want to bring another dimension to what we have been discussing. I remember that when my children were smaller, I used to make sure that Christmas was not too much of a thing for them in terms of material things.
Okay.
In the sense that throughout the year, I'm clothing my children. Throughout the year, I'm getting them anything that, because I love them and because I care for them. Anything I feel that they actually need, I don't wait until Christmas.
Perfect.
So I think that burden of expectation was never there for me. It was relieved. It wasn't something like everything is channeled towards Christmas. We're waiting for Christmas because it is Christmas that we will eat rice. It is Christmas that we will wear new dress. It is Christmas that we'll wear a new pair of shoes. For me, it was, I'm responsible for these people.
Yeah.
I love them. I care for them. So I don't wait until any special season. So having said that, yes, if you want to have a blast at Christmas, like I said, you may need to, save toward it. You may need to provide money, specially for that. Because if you don't, then it's going to come out of your daily needs.
Yeah.
And if, like you said, you go and buy dress and leave meat, you go and buy shoe and leave rice, it's a challenge already.
A very big one.
It's a family challenge. That is it.
Talking about buying dress and leave meat, buy shoe and leave rice. We definitely have to eat. There's in fact, in my intro I talk about the crazy rising of inflation everywhere. People find it difficult to eat, but then you must cook. Exactly. Whether you're giving out or not, you must cook. So how do you think Nigerians can cut down on these very essential things? Must you eat chicken, or how can we just cut down on these Christmas
it's actually
expenses?
a matter of prioritizing. You have to have a scale of preferences. Food you can't do without food.
True.
A new pair of shoes you can jolly well do without them. After all, where have you been going barefoot all year? You can clean the one you have or polish the one you have and you still wear it. So for me, it's about putting a scale, of what is actually very important. What you will not be able to do without on Christmas Day is food. Now, whether I will now eat a very large turkey, or I will eat chicken, or I will get some cuts of meat, it's a different thing altogether. It came to a point in my house, I advised myself what I could no longer afford.
Everybody does that now.
No, it was not anybody that told me. Now I told you I have an onboard budget. So I advised, nobody told me, you see, we can't eat this anymore, we can't do it. I knew. So if we are sincere to ourselves, if we are wise, then I don't see any problem really with this issue of prioritizing. You know what is important. You know what is essential. You know what are your needs. You know what are your wants. So many of the things we are calling needs are actually wants. So pay attention to the needs. And then the wants can come somewhere further down on the scale of preference.
Okay. You want to say something to that?
Yes, just like she said, it's important to save. I teach savings, and my first point of savings is that if you're not saving 30% of your salary in a month, you have to have a rethink. That's number one. Because you don't save after you have made your expenses. You save as soon as you get that alert that the salary has come in. That's when you save.
Or possibly you start saving from your the moment the money comes in, I'm saving so amount.
Yes. When I was working, that was a principle in my life. So I have lived it. I lived it for almost 40 years.
Wow.
I have constantly saved. In fact, there's an insurance company I used to save with. I used to be their brand ambassador in this country. So like she said, it's important to save. And when do you start the savings? You start savings from January 1 because you're planning for December. So if you want to go home and have that blast, you want to, I used to remember those Christmas times when women would come to oppress the women in the village. The women from the towns will come to oppress the women to show off, You have to start from 1st of January saving. And like we said earlier, you must have a budget. So that way, you really will plan for it. Secondly, this brings me down to, especially assuming you have an increment of salary during the year. The issue is, can you be able to save the additional? There's a law, Parkinson's law says expenditure increases so as to meet income.
It's a serious matter.
So that's why if you have somebody earning 20,000, he gets an increase to 30,000. He's not able to save
Exactly.
the 10,000 because all of a sudden, if he was drinking pure water, he will now want to drink bottled water. So it's important to save if you want to have that blast. It's very, very important, and it's something you have to start from the first day of January if you're thinking of December.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we're talking about this finance, save, and all of that. I actually know. I learned that from my mom, of blessed memory. She was always saving because she's always wanting to buy us those beautiful dresses, and she's this type of mothers that buy around October, November.
Exactly.
So she starts saving. We learned how to save in piggy banks from her.
Sure.
She was always putting, there's a particular amount of money she puts. So by October, November, she takes us to the market. You pick and she keeps it. So Christmas Day, you wait. And I learned that, and I've been doing that for my children. So I think viewers, you can actually borrow that idea. Save from January 1st, like our guests in the studio have said. And then when everybody's crying, there's no money, you're busy, having a blast. Okay, but then let's talk about financial habits, developed during Christmas that can help individuals maintain financial stability, year round. Are there financial habits that we can develop during Christmas? Because, like we said, January, that January is very, very wonderful. It's very wonderful. Most people pay house rent at that time. Pay school fees, like Sir Ifeanyi said, fuel the cars. Yeah, it's really not funny. So let's talk about these financial habits developed during Christmas.
Yes, these financial habits, there is need to reduce spending on unnecessary and extravagant items. The times are difficult.
Very, very.
So we must learn no longer to cut our coat according to
our size.
To our size. No, but according to the
material.
According to the material itself. It's important. Unnecessary, extravagant items, expensive items. Because you find out that somebody is wearing somebody wants a wristwatch or a phone. He goes to buy an iPhone.
And he already has a phone.
And he has a phone. Just because he or she wants to go to the village and show off the phone and terrorize everybody.
Oh my goodness.
So it's necessary, like Amaka said, to prioritize spending. It's very, very important. I used to do something as a young man. When I went home, my mother was alive. I just packaged my transport money for my fuel, and any little extra things I'll buy on the road. I was living in Lagos. I went to the east. I'll just give it to her. Once I enter the house, I'll give it to her. And I hold her ear like this and say, unless you see me enter the car to go, don't give it to me.
Wow.
And that's how we lived.
That's a brilliant one.
Very brilliant. I like that.
So you know, I didn't know where she kept the money, but I know that any day I say I am going, she
gives it
keeps
to you.
quiet, watches me. I take my bath. As soon as I enter the car, she just brings it and gives to me.
Wow.
Because the reason is that I discovered, I don't know about other
No
people,
amount of
but
money you take there is coming back.
no amount of money I ever took home will come back with me. No amount.
You might end up borrowing from other people.
That's what some
Yes,
people
True.
yes. I refuse to borrow, but no amount. So because of that, I learned it. Because I learned it through the hard way, I must say.
Okay.
Because there was this one, I think, probably about 89 or 1990. We had gone home, and on the day we were going to leave to go, I found out I didn't have money. So I had to come out to a bank at Newi to borrow from my classmate who was a bank manager.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness.
You know, that taught me, and you know, it taught me a lesson. And my wife observed that on that journey, I didn't talk. I just played music all through. There was just no talking. It was as if we were mourning. Because I did something I hadn't done for all my life. And I learned it. So that is also a strategy that if you're traveling, if you're going home, and there's somebody you trust, you can give the person your transport money
To
keep, so that the day you're going, he hands it back to you, so that you I'm sure that by the time he's handing it over to you, you won't have anything.
You won't have any other thing.
Yes.
Very, very true. Viewers, I'm sure you're taking tips. You're taking note of these tips. It's very, very, very important. We'll go on a very short break. When we come back, we talk more on how to manage your finances during this festive period. Don't go away.
Beaming from the nation's capital, we bring to you the good news through various programming, news updates, worship, and teachings.
The paralysis of sin makes us to be separated from God.
Contact us for your live streaming solutions and event coverage, such as synods, conferences, seminars, revivals, and lots more. Engage us in showcasing your brands and services to the world through adverts and sponsorship. We also offer latest broadcast equipment for rent, all at affordable prices. Tune in to ACNNTV via any free-to-air decoder with the following installation parameters: Intelsat 20 satellite with tuning frequency 12562 MHz, symbol rate 30 Mbps, orbital position 68.5 degree east, and horizontal polarization. You can also keep in touch with episodes of our programs via these social media platforms. For inquiries, please call 070-3265-6544 or mail us via inquiries@acnntv.com. ACNN, reaching the world with the undiluted Word of God.
Come back. If you're just joining us, we're talking on Christmas special on how to manage your finances during this festive period in an economy like Nigeria. And I have with me Mrs. Amaka Ogwejofor and Sir Ifeanyi Chukwujeku. They've been dishing it out, giving very wonderful tips on how you don't end up in debt by January. Remember, Saifani said January is 52 days. And it's actually up to that, if not even 60. Because you have a lot of expenditures in January, so you need to be wise. But then talking about, giving during this period, handling economic crisis and all of that. Let me come to you, Mrs. Amaka. What role do you think our churches and our religious institutions can play in supporting families, during this festive period? What role do you think they can play?
Well, I think that they've always played that role. They've
Okay.
always played that role. At least I know that in my own local church, we have a food bank.
Oh,
We have
beautiful.
means of helping, assisting people who may not be in a very good place. But the issue now is that we shouldn't also expect the church to become responsible for our own shortfalls. If you're in a position, you didn't plan yourself, it shouldn't become an emergency for the church. You didn't plan your finances, just like what we have been saying. It shouldn't become a crisis for the church. The church is supposed to step into the breach for widows, orphans, and people who genuinely do not have means of taking care of their day-to-day needs. And I can comfortably say that the church has always done that. You know, if you even without being told, without being asked, if you go to the church, it's available. It's available. You go and you really and truly don't have what you use and spend Christmas. That has always been done.
Okay, beautiful.
Let me not speak for all churches.
You're speaking for your own church.
Same thing. Incidentally, Amaka and myself, we worship in the same church.
Oh, goodness me.
So you find out that, just like she has said, anybody who walks into our church that is hungry will be fed.
I like that. Kudos to your church. Kudos to your church.
Yeah.
Can we know the name of the church, please? Let's know the name of the church so that other churches who have not been doing that can leave.
Okay,
Can we know the name of the church?
It is the Basilica of Grace in Gudu.
Oh, thumbs up to Basilica of Grace in Gudu. That's really awesome. But then let's look at charitable giving. We know a lot of people give out during Christmas, you know, and help out these community outreaches that people do during Christmas. Now look at what the country is all about now. How do you think, you know, this current economy, you know, has affected charitable givings of people?
Yeah, the economy has affected everybody, including the churches.
It's everybody, because some people are still smiling to the bank.
Yes,
You and I know the people who are trying.
yes, I can tell you that even in our church, even in our own church, we keep looking at the statistics every month, and we know it's dwindling. It's the same thing with the generality of Nigerians, but there are also people who continue to give. Giving to me is two-way. Some use it to show off. You know, some use their so-called foundations to show off. But real giving, you know, that is the one that, yes, people still do that. They may not shout about it. We may not even get to know what they do.
Yeah.
For instance, there's a company in Nigeria that has been distributing rice, you know, all over the country. There's a bank too that has been distributing.
Oh,
Yes, yes, there's a bank that has been distributing. I'm aware of that. But you don't hear them
don't
make
advertise
noise.
it,
Yes, they don't advertise it. That's the type of giving we want people to inculcate and do. And then a few people come together also to give. Giving I think it pays to give. So
It does. Even the Bible says it's more blessed to give than to receive.
Yes, so people will keep giving.
Yeah.
You know, yes.
Despite the challenges, despite the
Yes,
economy,
despite the
people
hardship,
still
yes,
give.
yes.
You're itching to say something.
Well, you know, I want to say that actually real giving never takes place until there's nothing.
Yes.
Now that's deep.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, if I give you out of my abundance, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I have now. You see,
Yes,
like
yes.
if Dangote gives you 1 billion now, sure, you'll be jumping up.
We jump, but he
But
doesn't
to
shake.
Dangote, that is your money.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
But like in times like this, when really and truly there is nothing, this is when God expects us to exercise giving.
Sure.
You may not give a cow. You may not give a ram. You may not give a bundle of fabric, but you can give something. And honestly, hard times should not stop us from giving.
Sure.
I remember there was one time in Kaduna, you know, things were quite bad for us financially. And I remember I went to the market, and usually all these mekundo, these people that carry loads for people, I will usually give them more than what they can expect. In fact, when I give them, sometimes they'll be looking behind and running, as if I'm going to take it back from them. And that day I was like, there's no money. So let me just give. And then it was like a voice spoke within me and said, this is the time to give.
Sure.
Yes. Not when it was flowing. Now that there's nothing, this is the time to give. So God will help us that despite the things that we are seeing, was it convenient for God to give Jesus when he did?
No.
It wasn't.
It wasn't convenient.
It wasn't.
It's the only son. So if we're going to wait for it to become convenient for us to give, we may wait forever.
True.
So even in this dry season, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be this massive thing. Just a little bit.
Even if it's a cup of rice,
Yes.
a cup of
Whatever. Yes. And secondly, you know, these people who sell on on the road, most times I don't price. I just give.
That's also a way of giving.
Yes, it's a way of giving. She says 3 naira, you know, it's something of 1 naira. Just give. Because there is my own mentality is that if I enter the supermarket,
You buy it.
You don't
if,
price.
if I enter Sahad, I won't price. So why do I have to price the granite seller?
And price her to death.
Yes, I'm price her to that.
And she will have no choice but to sell
Yes,
because she
yeah,
needs to
yes,
feed her
desperate.
family.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's also part of giving.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, viewers, you heard them. Give, not because you have it in abundance. Give out of that little you have. God loves a cheerful giver. And Bible says it's more blessed to give, you know, than to receive. So don't stop giving. Whether you have it or not, that little, you can make an impact in that life next to you. Okay, so now let's look at communities. Are there innovative ways communities can come together to ensure inclusivity during Christmas celebrations? You know, despite the financial constraints, are there ways communities can do that? Let me start with you,
Yeah,
sir.
of course. You know, we are a communal people.
Okay.
No, Africans. You know, we believe so much in the community. So I strongly believe that communities can do a lot at a time like this, especially for the have-nots in their midst. There's a saying that Governor Soludo made very popular, that as long as somebody is poor, that's your high wall that you're living in.
Can never be high enough.
It can never be high enough. You can't sleep.
Very true.
As long as somebody is hungry beside you, you can't sleep. So communities must come together, you know, and design things to give to these have-nots, because they're in every community.
Yeah.
They're in every community. You know, whether as a clan, whether as a village, whether as a group of persons, we must give especially at a time like this. Because, you know, this period strikes me a lot. And why does it strike me? It's because of St. John's Gospel, chapter 3, verse 16.
God so loved the world.
That God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. This is actually a time for us to give and give and give. You know, whether as individuals, whether as communities, whether as villages, whether as hamlets, whether as towns, you know, it's so important.
We just can't stop giving.
Yes, you can't stop giving.
But then how do you handle the you know, we can still have communities that want to give, but then they go back behind to mock. When they give to you, sometimes you can't speak in meetings, in gatherings, because the moment you say, this one, it's not you that will just contribute 2 cups of rice for, it's not you, and then, you know, that embarrassment can, you know, it's how do you handle such? How do you handle such? Let me, Mommy, you're already keeping your face. How do you handle such?
How do you handle such? You die to yourself. You die to flesh. If you need help, you need help.
Sure.
What is embarrassing about it? You will not always need help. You will occasionally need help. At some point, you didn't. Now you do. And somebody is making fun of you over that. And then what? If you want to give me 1 million naira now, mock me. Give me. After giving me, go out there and tell everybody. See that woman passing there, I gave her 1 million. I will send her. I'm the one. Yes.
Okay, so now you have broken the table. We're managing the table. You've scattered it.
But that's the truth, actually. There's no big deal about it. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, we have this saying in my place, you know, wealth travels from house to house.
Yes.
This person you're mocking today
Could be somebody else tomorrow.
could be somebody else tomorrow. I bet you, in my community, all those who had story buildings yesteryears, those story buildings don't exist.
You can
Where they
imagine.
exist, you have lizards and cockroaches, you know, sleeping in them. So it's only a very foolish human being who will mock somebody because you've given the person something. Because tomorrow, either you or your child or your grandchild could be receiving from the same person.
Or from even someone else.
Yes, history is, you know, history has it all over. There were people who could basically feed in the 60s and 70s.
Now they have nothing.
Today, they could basically feed themselves.
Okay. They weren't doing so well.
Yes, they
Okay.
weren't doing so well. But today, their children are multimillionaires.
There you go.
Feeding the same people who are feeding
mocking
them.
them at some point. So who cares about your mockery?
Nobody
Just
cares
bring
about
the
it.
money and
You're just so particular about the money. Don't worry, the money will
bring
come.
it and mock me.
Okay, but then we know a lot of families might be, down in spirit because they don't have the money to celebrate. So how can families, maintain the festive spirit, without succumbing to financial stress? How would you advise families to do that? Let me start with you.
First of all, you have to understand what Christmas is.
Okay.
It's just like he said. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. That's above naira and kobo. It's above dollar and pound, darling. You see, if we don't have an understanding of what Christmas is, we will come under this pressure of performance that several of us are dying under. It is dealing with us because we have lost sight of what Christmas actually is. Christmas is a celebration of a man, the Christ, Jesus. Every other thing that we're doing is peripheral. And if the joy of the Lord is in my family at Christmas, but we don't have money, what are we actually losing? For what shall it profit a man?
Exactly.
To gain the whole world, to eat all the rice and turkey at Christmas and still go to hell? What is the profit in it? And so if we can depressurize ourselves, if we can live this season with a joy within that has nothing to do with whether I bought that iPhone that I want to buy now, or whether I have the most beautiful dress or I don't have it, but Christ died for me. I'm joyful that God considered me and he came all the way from heaven to earth for my sake. I live in that joy every day.
Exactly.
So what has buying food or buying clothing or traveling for Christmas or going to Dubai, what has it got to do with it? It doesn't change anything, actually. But then it takes an understanding. And unfortunately, many Christians do not have this understanding.
Understanding and discipline. Yes.
You see, it's unless you understand what Christmas means. Unfortunately, it's been so commercialized that
That's
people don't reflect, because Christmas actually is a time for spiritual reflection.
Exactly.
That's what it is all about, and joyful celebration. You see, if anybody at this time doesn't have joy, the person should go back and read the Bible, because the Word of God is very clear on what Christmas is. Unfortunately, man has completely taken it over.
So buying and selling.
Yes,
Buying and selling,
Acquiring and acquisition.
Yes.
So many merriments, immorality everywhere.
Everything, so that is not the essence of Christmas.
Okay.
So I'm going to advise families who are sad at a time like this. There's nothing wrong about being sad. But if you remember that you are alive, if you remember that you are breathing, if you remember that you have two eyes to see, that you can walk, that you can talk, there's reason to be joyful.
And you have good health.
There's reason to be joyful.
And Christmas comes in December.
Yeah.
So God has taken you all the way from January. 11 calendar months all the way to Christmas.
Exactly.
And you say you're sad?
Sad for what?
That's ingratitude.
That thing the Bible said that we counted and everybody we are
Nothing
complete.
was complete.
So why should we
It's a
be
tremendous
sad?
Well, I know our time is fast spent. We need to wrap it up. But then, before we go, I want to ask. Let me come to you, Sir Ifeanyi. What policies or initiatives do you think the government can introduce, to ease the financial burden of Christmas celebrations, for low-income families especially?
The government has already started. We hear that trains will run free. Yes.
Really?
From where
Yes.
to where, sir?
Depending on where the Nigerian Railway Corporation is operating.
Okay.
Yes. Even in Abuja, I hear it's going to run free.
Okay.
Yes. On the western axis too, it's going to run free.
Okay.
you know, from a particular date to a particular date. I also hear that they are planning to put buses like they did last year. You know, unfortunately, you know what government policies come out to look like during implementation, because that's where the problem is.
True.
The government will have very good policies, but in implementing it, some people hijack it. Oh yes. And then I think government needs to look at the food shortages in the country. There is hunger in this land.
Very serious hunger.
Yes, there is hunger in this land. And at a time like this, we are appealing that government should buy grains and sell at lower prices. A bag of rice today is selling for more than 100,000 naira. I think government can intervene and do something, and put in measures that can lessen the hardship. Fuel is expensive.
Very, very.
That is the long and short of everything.
I'm telling you.
Fuel is expensive. And it's sad because crude oil is found in our country. Yet we are buying fuel at 1,150.
We've never had it this bad.
Per liter. And if you talk, somebody says that's the international price. International price for what we have in our country. So what's the benefit for us? So these are areas that will appeal for the government to look at, particularly fuel. It's killing. That's the truth.
I'm sure if the price of fuel, can come down.
Yeah, it will affect every other thing.
Actually,
Let me hear from
Nigerians
you.
are not people who look for palliatives.
Not at
We
all.
are a proud people.
Yeah,
We are a resourceful people. We are an active people. We are hustlers.
we are.
We don't like handouts. At least most Nigerians don't. So we're not asking for fresh handouts. We've had enough handouts. Give us an enabling environment and see us fly. It's just like what he said about fuel. If fuel can if the government can do whatever, use their good offices to make fuel affordable to the common man, we don't need them for anything.
True.
They've never done anything for us. And up to this point, we've survived. Give us cheap fuel, government. That's all we're asking.
Government, did you hear that? Give us.
Don't give us free rice again. Don't give us cheap fuel. And we'll be good.
Okay, our time is fast spent. Before we go, let me get your last words to our viewers. What advice do you have for our viewers as they celebrate Christmas? Looking at the topic we've just discussed, celebrating Christmas, Nigeria's economy, managing your finance. What advice do you have? Let me start with you, sir.
What I'm going to advise Nigerians: don't cut your coat according to your cloth.
According to your size.
According to your size any longer. You have to cut it according to your cloth. The times are difficult.
Very.
Ask yourself a question: must you travel? If you don't have any reason to travel and means of traveling, why do you want to spend all that money? Every transporter who is going to the east, for instance, will charge you double, because when he's coming back from the east,
won't have any passengers.
He's going to come empty.
Yeah.
So because of that, he's charging you double. The same thing, if you're coming back, you pay double. So just look at it. If it's to go to see your loved ones, I'm sure if you send them some part of your transport money, they'll be happy.
They will appreciate it more.
They will appreciate it, and you'll also be empowering them instead of going there and looking at them. So just look at it, and then you don't need expensive things for Christmas. You don't need expensive things for Christmas. Just look at it again and tell yourself the truth. Look at how much you have, because it's important.
Remember January.
Yes, I remember January.
Let me get your last words, Mom.
To the viewers, I would say, remember the essence of Christmas. Sometimes in our day we tend to lose the essence. The essence is that Jesus came. That's what we're actually celebrating. Every other thing is beside the point, and then be prudent too.
Very, very. Extremely important.
Very important.
Okay, thank you very much, Saifanyi. It's really an honor having you come talk to us. Thank you, Ms. Zamaka. Always, coming, giving it to us hot. We truly appreciate you. And to our viewers, thank you very much for staying with us. It's really an honor to come talk to you on how to manage your finance. And like Mrs. Zamaka ended, remember the essence of Christmas lies in sharing love, fostering connections, and reflecting on gratitude. The essence for the celebration is Christ. He is the reason for the season, and not in excessive spendings. As you manage your finances wisely this holiday, you not only enjoy a joyous Christmas, but also set a solid foundation for a stable and prosperous new year. So be prudent in your spending, be wise in your spending, and then we wish you a Merry Christmas, a Merry Christmas, and a prosperous new year. We're sure next year is going to be better.
Sure, amen, amen.
Thank you, and bye-bye for now.
Thank you.